It is November 28, 1953. New York City, the Statler Hotel. A man named Frank Olson falls from the window of the 10th floor. He is found on the pavement below at 2:30 in the morning. The official verdict, suicide. His family is told he suffered a nervous breakdown. They grieve. They accept the explanation. They move on. It will take them 22 years to learn the truth. Frank Olson did not choose to jump from that window. 9 days before his death, without his knowledge and without his consent, a CIA chemist had secretly put LSD in his drink. The CIA watched what happened next. And when Frank Olson became a liability, he went out of a window. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is in the declassified documents. And Frank Olson is only the beginning.
To understand MKUltra, you need to understand the moment it was born. It is 1950. The Cold War is not yet 5 years old. American soldiers returning from Korean captivity are making confessions on camera, confessing to things they had never done, supporting positions they had never held. The CIA had one explanation for what they were seeing. The Soviets had cracked the human mind. They had found a way to make people believe things that were not true, do things they would never willingly do, become someone entirely different. The Americans called it brainwashing, and the CIA decided that if the Soviets had it, America needed it too. Project Bluebird was authorized in April 1950, renamed Artichoke in 1951, and on April 13, 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles signed his name to a document that formally authorized something far more ambitious, Project MKUltra. The goal was simple and terrifying in equal measure. Find a way to control the human mind, not influence it, not persuade it, control it, erase it, reprogram it, turn an ordinary person into a weapon that did not know it was a weapon. The man put in charge of making this happen was a CIA chemist named Sidney Gottlieb. He was 35 years old. He had a PhD in chemistry. He had a club foot and a stutter. And he had just been given authority to do things to human beings that no government in a democracy was supposed to be able to do. He would keep that authority for 20 years.
MKUltra operated across 149 separate sub-projects, funded through front organizations and shell companies, run through universities, hospitals, and prisons, staffed by doctors, chemists, and psychologists who believed they were serving their country. Some of them knew exactly what they were doing. Others preferred not to ask too many questions. The experiments used LSD, MDMA, mescaline, heroin, barbiturates, and methamphetamines. They used hypnosis, sensory deprivation, electroconvulsive therapy, and psychological torture. They used these things on people who had no idea it was happening. In San Francisco and New York City, the CIA ran what they called Operation Midnight Climax. Safe houses were established. Prostitutes were hired to bring men off the streets to those safe houses. The men were given drinks laced with LSD.
and CIA officers watched from behind one-way mirrors. They called this research. In Atlanta, a 1956 memo signed by Gottlieb himself authorized experiments to evaluate the effects of large doses of LSD on federal prisoners. The prisoners had not consented. They had not been warned. They were, in the words of the program's own documents, unwitting subjects. At Georgetown University Hospital in Washington, D.C., the CIA established a medical safe house, a facility where patients and students could be used as subjects for experiments, funded by the CIA, staffed by doctors who knew who was paying their salaries. But here is where the story takes a darker turn. The most extreme experiments were not happening in the United States. They were happening in Canada. In Montreal, a Scottish-born psychiatrist named Ewan Cameron had a theory. The human mind, he believed, could be wiped clean, erased like a blackboard, and then rewritten with new memories, new beliefs, new behavior. He called it psychic driving. Cameron would take patients who came to his clinic at the Allen Memorial Institute for ordinary psychiatric problems, depression, anxiety, minor disorders, and subject them to weeks, sometimes months, of what he described as treatment. In reality, he was putting them into drug-induced comas that lasted for weeks, playing recorded messages on a loop, sometimes for 16 hours a day, while they were unconscious, using massive doses of electroconvulsive therapy far beyond anything considered medically safe. He was trying to erase their personalities, and the CIA was funding every bit of it. The patients had come to Cameron seeking help. They left, in many cases, unable to remember their own names, unable to recognize their families, unable to perform basic daily tasks. Ask yourself this: these were not enemy combatants. These were not prisoners of war. These were Canadian civilians who had gone to a doctor because they needed help, and the CIA paid that doctor to erase their minds. When the Church Committee began investigating in 1975, they asked for the documents. There were almost none left. In January 1973, Sidney Gottlieb had ordered the destruction of MKUltra's records. CIA Director Richard Helms had approved the order. 20 years of experiments, 149 sub-projects, thousands of victims. Burned. Not lost. Not misplaced. Burned. The world was told that MKUltra was a Cold War aberration, a program born of fear, run by a few rogue scientists, shut down when it failed to produce results. The documents tell a different story. MKUltra had approval from the highest levels of the CIA, not a rogue program, not a few bad actors working in secret from their leadership. The leadership authorized it. The leadership funded it. The leadership destroyed the evidence. Sidney Gottlieb testified before Congress in 1975. He was granted immunity from criminal prosecution in exchange for his testimony. He was never charged with a crime. He retired in 1973, the same year he burned the files, and moved to a farm in Virginia where he raised goats, practiced folk dancing, and learned Sanskrit. He died in 1999 at the age of 80. Frank Olson's family received a personal apology from President Gerald Ford in 1975. They received a financial settlement from the government. No one was charged with Frank Olson's death. No one was charged with the destruction of the documents. No one was charged with what was done to Velma Orlikoff and the other patients at the Allen Memorial Institute. In December 2024, the CIA released 1,200 pages of newly declassified MKUltra documents. All confirmed, all documented. No new prosecutions followed.
This is not history. The legal and institutional frameworks that allowed MKUltra to operate for 20 years without oversight were not dismantled when the program ended. The principle that national security justifies actions that otherwise would be criminal did not disappear in 1973. It adapted. In December 2024, the newly released documents confirmed something that the Church Committee had only partially exposed. The program was not a failure that was shut down. It was a program that concluded it had extracted what it could and moved on. What came after MKUltra is still largely classified. Most people have heard the name MKUltra. It appears in films and television as a shorthand for government conspiracy, a piece of Cold War mythology. Now you know it was not mythology. It was a program with a budget, with institutional approval, with specific victims whose names are in the documents. And the man most responsible for it was never held accountable for a single day of what he did.
On April 13, 1953, Allen Dulles signed his name to a document. He authorized an American government agency to experiment on human beings without their knowledge or consent. The document survived because it was filed under a budget heading rather than a project heading. Everything else was burned. The experiments happened. The documents prove it. And the man who ran them for 20 years died free. If this story deserved to be told, help us find the next one. Next time, we go deeper into what came after MKUltra, the programs that were never given a name in the documents that survived. The question that the 1,200 declassified pages still cannot answer. What did they learn?